exactly that. Hello. I haven't been here for a while, and I start pretty much every video by saying that at the moment because I'm not very good at uploading regularly. I've just finished uni for the end of year 2. I say just about a month ago. And it was just very stressful. I really did want to film lots more Durham and just general uni stuff last term. And it just didn't work out because everything was going on. But exam season is over now, so we're fine. I actually sat down today to film the mid-year book freakout tag. I think that's right. But I sat down, I had my little notepad with each book I'd got for each question. I hadn't written anything else, I hadn't really planned anything. And I just sort of went, I don't really want to do that. So instead, I'm gonna do a book haul. I've never filmed a book haul before because mostly I don't buy books in like massive chunks. I'll just pretty regularly walk into Waterstones or Heifers or Oxfam and just like get 1 or 2. But recently it has been my birthday and I got I think 3 books from my birthday, and I spent some of my money on a little bit of a haul. So I thought it might be a good time to just do a little summary birthday book haul. Last year I ended up with a massive TBR. I was asking for books for Christmas, birthday, Easter, anything, and I was also buying books like a complete maniac. So I got a massively long TBR, and then at the end of last year I went on a bit of a book ban, and the way I like to do my book bans is not for periods of time but for how many books. So I'll say, okay, I can buy new books again once I've read 30 books or something. And obviously 30 books doesn't get read overly quickly for me anyway, but that was in like November, and so I think I finished in like February or something. Then I decided to not ask for books from like every single family member again because I just end up having the same problem. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books in total, which I think is a pretty solid number because I've been going through my TBR pretty quickly at the moment. I haven't bought many books recently, so I think this is a nice like happy birthday number to put on the end and to not stress too much about that I've got loads and loads of books that I just can't read in enough time. So yes, I have 3 books that were gifted to me by people, and 4 that I bought myself, and then 1 that I bought myself but technically it's from my grandma. And I'm actually going to start with that one because it's the only one that I have read already. And as soon as it arrived, I was like, I need to read this, and I read it within the day. And that book is How the King of Elfame Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. I'm sure this book needs no introduction. This is a series of like short stories that are set in the world of the Folk of the Air series, so The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing. Holly Black has also just released The Stolen Heir, which is a spin-off duology from the main series, and I am just obsessed with this world. I literally don't even know what happened. I read The Cruel Prince last year and I was like, yeah, this is fun, I'll pick up the rest at some point. In January I read The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing and I was obsessed. Then I bought The Stolen Heir, which is currently one of my favourite books of the year, and I just felt like I needed to get another one in this world because it's literally the next Stolen Heir one doesn't come out till like next January or something ridiculous. So I had to have a bit of a Holly Black pick-me-up, which is why I devoured this in a day. It's also one of the most beautiful books I own. I'm just gonna like take it out of the cover for a second. First of all, but I'm basically counting this as a present from my grandma. Sorry, look how beautiful it is. She wanted to get me a book, but then I think the title was a bit too long and she didn't have enough time or something because I asked her quite late. I was not a very good granddaughter. So I'm going with the fact that the money she gave me as a birthday present has gone on this book. So thank you very much, Mima. I loved it. It's so beautiful. And honestly, for a set of short stories, it was really good. I'm not gonna lie, I did get it because I just needed something else in the universe. I was like, it's a few short stories. It's not gonna be like amazing. It's just gonna be some cutesy filling in the universe. But rather than feeling like a load of different novellas, it was just like a character study on Cardan. Every single story had a purpose to be there and continued this through thread of this moral tale. I'm gonna put this one down and show you the other ones that I have, none of which I have read. So the next 2 I'm gonna talk about together, and they are from that just fell on the floor. So these are both courtesy of the lovely Katie, and they are both 2 books by Maggie O'Farrell. I love Maggie O'Farrell so much. I read Hamnet by her last year, and while I wasn't overly taken with the story, I loved the way she wrote, and I kind of like flagged her up as I'm gonna read more by her. And then this year rolled around and I read The Marriage Portrait in January, and nothing has come close since. It is such an incredibly beautiful book, and you can go and watch me essentially cry over it in my January wrap up if you would like to. So I mentioned that I really liked Her to Katie, and she picked me up 2 more by her. This is The Vanishing Act of Esme Lennox, and I kept noticing this one in Waterstones. I was on FaceTime to Katie yesterday and she said it was a historical fiction, which is why she thought I might like it, because obviously I've really liked Maggie's a historical fiction in the past, and also it is a genre that I do tend to gravitate towards. So it sounds like we have a young girl who's put into a psychiatric unit. There's a family member that kind of collects her when she's going to be released years later, and they're kind of finding out about her life and what she did to warrant being put in a psychiatric unit. And I'd imagine it's probably going to be a woman has opinions thing. Earlier in this year I read The Mad Woman's Ball by Victoria Maz, I think, and that is kind of a similar thing, but I didn't think it was done very well, so I'm hoping that this is going to do that, but better, because I trust Maggie O'Farrell with my life. The other one I have is Instructions for a Heatwave, and I hadn't heard of this one before I unwrapped it, and it is definitely hot enough at the moment to warrant needing instructions on what to do. So we are set in 1970s London in the middle of a heatwave. We have a family in which the dad goes out to buy a newspaper and doesn't come back, so they all start looking for him, and the mum apparently has like a bit of a secret. All of the reviews on like the front and the back of this, oh, the sun has just gone in. All of these are just saying that the family is very funny and addictive to read about, so maybe this will be one for when I'm feeling like I'm in a bit of a reading slump. So the next one I have is a non-fiction book, and it is a manifesto against the heartless world by E.C. Tamelkaran. This was given to me by the lovely Cormac, who reads a lot of non-fiction and a lot of political theory, and I'm a sociology student. I read a lot of political and social theory for my course, so I find it very hard to read it in books for pleasure when I step away. However, I have recently come into possession of quite a few, they're behind there so you can't see them, but social theory non-fiction books, and I'm really excited to read them, but I really struggle with non-fiction. But I've just had a flick through this and it looks so easy to read. I'm really trusting Cormac because I know he reads a lot of things like this, so if he's gifting one to someone else, he's going to go for one that he either really likes or he hasn't read it yet and he just wants to see what I think so he can buy it for himself. But it also just looks very much like it's written like a story. Like, even just skimming my eyes over, it doesn't look like a fact file, which is a big problem I have with a lot of non-fiction, because if you're just reading facts to me, they're not going to stay in my head and I'm not necessarily going to enjoy reading them. So this one is looking a lot more enjoyable to read, and it's going to pepper the information in a way that's going to actually go into my head, so I'll actually learn in a productive way. Then after this I could hopefully get stuck into some thicker non-fiction that might be a little bit harder to read, so this can be my warm-up act, if you like. This one's still got a sticker on it, so please ignore that, but this is Elizabeth is Missing by Emma Healy, and I've been seeing this one crop up a lot. On the back it says Maggie O'Farrell meets Gone Girl, and I love Maggie O'Farrell, and I haven't read Gone Girl, but I've watched the movie and I thought it was pretty good. I have heard a lot about this book and I know a couple of people that have really enjoyed it, and it's giving me Thursday Murder Club vibes, but I think that's just because it's about old people, not because it's actually anything similar to Thursday Murder Club. We have an old lady who has dementia or some sort of forgetting disease, which is going to make me cry, and she finds a note in her pocket that says her best friend Elizabeth is missing. So she goes on a journey to try and find her friend, and it's, oh, I'm gonna sob. I actually don't know why I've done this to myself. The more I think about it, the more I just realise that it's gonna completely wreck me. But yeah, that's Elizabeth is Missing by Emma Healy. Okay, I do have another kind of non-fiction. Well, it's an autobiography, so I think it technically counts as non-fiction, so I can get some points in on Storygraph for doing non-fiction. This is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton, which went very, very popular on the internet last year. When did it come out? Oh no, it's 2018. But it got very popular in the past few years, and I can't lie, the reason I want to read it is because of the audiobook being clipped into a sound on TikTok, and it's the one where she goes, almost everything I know about love is from my long-term friendships with women, and I loved that so much, and it just really resonated with me. I'm just looking through the back to try and find that quote because I'm pretty sure it's from this. Next up we have I Who Have Never Known Men. I who have never known, you know when you say a word so many times and it doesn't feel like a real word? I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. I believe this is dystopian, but it might be speculative fiction. My sister's got me kind of on that because of The Handmaid's Tale, which I always considered to be a dystopian, but apparently it's speculative fiction because she takes everything that happens from history. We have 30 women who are all imprisoned underground and have no idea like how they got there. I know that this one was quite popular on TikTok amongst the lit fic girlies. It's also quite short as well, it's under 200 pages, so when I'm like needing to read books right at the end of the year to get to my goal, I might be calling on that one. Okay, so the final book we have is not a very short one that I'll be calling on at the end of the year because it's The Priory of the Orange Tree and it is massive. It is literally almost 800 pages. It's 800 pages with the glossary thing in the end. I definitely will not be picking this one up just yet because I'm a little bit behind on my book count and I need to read some short books to fill that up, but I'm so excited for when I do. I was going to steer clear of this one. It wasn't something that I was particularly overly interested in because I don't really do high fantasy. I love little sort of folklore-y things like The Cruel Prince. I love magical realism, but I don't necessarily love full-blown high fantasy, and I believe this is that. Joe Reads on TikTok is a massive fan of this book, and generally my book opinions align quite closely with his. I'm just going to trust in the algorithm that keeps bringing me back to this book and hope for the best, essentially. Quite excited for this one when I finally get around to it, even though I don't know that much about it at all. Like, I couldn't tell you what the plot's going to be. I know it's like political fantasy, so I'm just going to start putting these back on my shelf while I close out for you. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and sit with me and listen to me ramble for a bit of a while. Because I've been quite irregular recently, I haven't been doing monthly updates. I did film a March and April combined one, which I think is what I'm going to do going forward. I'm going to do like bi-monthly ones because then it's a little bit more manageable, and also because I don't necessarily upload every week, so that means that every other video isn't just a what I read in January type of thing. Now I'm back home for a bit as well, there's definitely going to finally be more painting videos. I actually took all the videos of me painting my door Studio Ghibli style down because I'm going to redo that series with nicer filming and editing and all of that. It just wasn't very good, so watch out for that coming back, the return of the Studio Ghibli door. Lots of book videos, maybe some summary vlogs, and yeah, hopefully lots of good fun. So thank you very much for watching. I will hopefully see you relatively soon, and yeah, goodbye.